Welcome to Solid Edge Audit Chaos, where I will be showing you how to use Solid Edge, how to create 3D models, how to create detailed drawings, and everything Solid Edge has to offer. Normally, the biggest oversight in any software is knowing the settings and how it can contribute to making your life easier. So for the first video, let's jump into the settings. Right, when you open Solid Edge, you'll be greeted with this window. So first we want to click on settings on the left hand side here. Settings, you'll get your different themes, customize, add-ins, options. We're looking more specifically for options. So first option here is the save. So very important, if you do not save often, then it can auto save and you'll always have the backup of your save. Okay, next, file locations. This is a very important thing to know, especially two little things here: the property seed file and the user templates. User templates, you can, if you're more interested in creating 2D drawings from your models, you can use a user-defined templates with your own little background, name blocks, title blocks, whatever you want, especially if you want to do detailed drawings for manufacturing purposes. So next one is very important, the property seed file. Now let's open this path and open this file quickly. Let me show you something. Yep. If I open the prop seed file, this is basically what it's going to look like. So the important thing here is you can add custom properties to your models by editing this file here. I'll touch on a different video on how it works and how to edit the property seed file more in depth, but just know you can have custom details. So if you create a 2D draft, all the information can pull from your model to your drawing with no issues. All right, let's close this. User profile, this is just for identification when you do a drawing, not really for the average maker, but in a corporate environment where there's a bunch of people working on Solid Edge, it's nice to identify who has worked on what, and you can also export preference settings from one computer to another computer, no problem. Okay. Next up, on the Manage tab, use Solid Edge Data Management. So this is very important if you are going to use Design Manager. Design Manager is a fantastic tool within Solid Edge that it provides to be able to revise models, or if you want to copy models, and especially on the assembly side, so that you can ensure all your stuff is correctly copied over and not linked to a previous model or previous iteration of a model, and also to prevent you from messing up your standard library. If you had to copy parts over to modify it, then you know the standard stuff is safe. I will also jump into this more in detail on a separate video. It will be titled somewhere in the line of Design Manager. Okay, next, the most important tab in this entire options category is helpers. Essentially, helpers is the hub of your main settings. Now, first one, if you open your Solid Edge, on what window do you want it to open? It's totally user preference. I personally prefer to start Solid Edge on the open page. It's going to give you a nice little window of your previous open projects, because 90% of the time you're going to go back to a project that you are currently working on to continue working on it. Then what type of modeling environment do you want to work in on the parts and sheet metal, so synchronous or audit? So this channel is all about audit. Synchronous and audit is different modeling styles, and there is benefits on using both, but I prefer the audit modeling environment purely because that is what I'm used to, that's what I know. So for this channel, we are mainly gonna look at the audit environment. So edit creation options, that is basically just the standard that you want to work in. So for me, I'm gonna work in isometric, but for my American audience, you can work in ANZ inch and have all your stuff in the imperial system, but where I'm from we use metric, so I'll be using the ISO standards. Okay. It's all user preferences. Go through it, read it. If you want to change something, change it to what you like, play around with it. I'm just going to touch on the options and settings that I prefer, but customize Solid Edge to your liking. So I prefer to make the pathfinder or assembly pathfinder dockable. Next, on the prediction command. Now, I know the program, it's a fantastic tool for new users. So use the predict command. Solid Edge is intelligent enough from one feature to another feature to give you options what it suggests to use. So a fantastic feature for new people, but for my purposes or my experience, I like to keep it off. Next, scrolling down, we can keep all this as is. So for the radial menus and gestures, I would actually like the drag distance for the gestures to be shorter. I'll show you exactly what that is for. So on Solid Edge, if you hover over a line, for instance, and there's multiple lines, it will pop up with a little thing to say you can right click and then you can select the different lines and so forth. So just for that to be a quicker pop-up. Same with the radial menu. So I'm just going to make it 300 milliseconds for my preference, but you can change it to whatever you prefer. The context toolbars, it's also a nice little shortcut for additional features where it was in the right click menu. So now it shows just a bit more compact. So for the document file name, you can have a formula on how it saves your files. So classic starts with standard file name, so you can change it. You can add the revision number, for instance, document number, whatever the case might be. So, or project name. So if I click project name, add, I'm busy with a project for a shelf, a specific shelf. Then it will have my part, let's say part A, and then shelf. So everything will have this additional project name to save it. So you know you can't mix up your models in assemblies from one to another. Also, very much user preference. I prefer just a standard file name. And that's it about for the helpers. So on the assembly open as. So this is if you work on assemblies more specifically. We have three categories: small assemblies, medium and large. Most important, I would say, on your medium and large assemblies, you'll see they have it standard as inactive all. So how Solid Edge operates, if you update a model, it's updating all the active parts. It's not gonna process the inactive parts. Just keep it in mind, if you are limited to computing resources, then for the components you're not using, make them inactive. So it's just easier for your computer to compute all the files and update your models. Keep that in mind, but you can change it as is. So part activation, that's what I just mentioned. You can activate or inactive a part, so it will keep it in consideration when you're doing updates. But yeah, this is not much to worry about. This is pretty much a standard feature that is fine. But if you want more customization, then you can do it. Yeah. On shape search, not much relevant, to be honest. Data privacy, not much relevant as well. You can press OK. Go back to file settings and customize. So on the customize tab, you can customize each and every environment that Solid Edge has to offer. So environment is like a part environment, an assembly environment, a draft environment, a sketch environment. So click here, from here you can change any environment, customize it to your liking. Typically have the active environment on the current environment that you have open on this moment. So for me, I'm not in any type of environment, so that's why it says no documents, but I'll show you where it comes relevant. So the customization for the environment is just basically setting up shortcuts, features that you use a lot just to make your life easier. It contributes to that customization factor. Also, your quick access bar, you can keyboard shortcuts, your ribbons, radial menus, and on your layouts you can also change specifically. Also on your layouts you can change and customize each environment according to your specific requirements or liking. So we can close here. So if I go back to file settings, go to themes, so you can save themes that has all that customization on it, and you can transfer it from one computer to another computer. So this is basically where you will select it. On add-ins, not much to worry about. Okay, so going to tools, fantastic tool, compare drawing. If you have two draft sheets and one of them is a revision, something has changed and you do not know what has changed, you can use this compare drawing tool. It will actually compare the drawings and highlight what has changed. Same with the models. So if you've done an iteration on a model, you coming back to it in 5 months time, you have no idea what you have done and you did save a rev 0, rev 1, you can also compare the models. So next up for the settings, let's open an actual new part. Click a new part. It's going to give this little dialog block. So it's just basically asking you to confirm if you want to continue with audit or continue with synchronous. So I don't want to see this message again. I'm going to open it in audit. So if you open a part, go back to file, settings, options, you'll notice there is quite additional options available. So if I go to the general tab, there's quite a few settings, new settings to look after. So reference plane size, this is this little reference blocks that you, or reference planes that you see that you can create your drawings on, your models from. Very important one to consider is the preferred 2D pasting method. So if you copy a section of a model from one drawing to another drawing, do you want to paste it to the selected position, which is a custom position, or do you want to paste it to the original position? So what will happen if you paste, it will either hover on your mouse, then you just have to click where you want it, or it will just outright paste it to the exact coordinates that it was on the previous plane that you copied it from. And then, which is a nice feature as well, is the revise and increment name. If you do revisions, do you want to revise it in rev 1 2 3 4, rev A B C D, rev 0 1 0 2 0 3, whatever the case might be, what you would like, you can add it here, but that's more for the serial corporate modelers and not so much important for the casual makers. Okay, next up, let's quickly run through the view tab. Very important one is the arc smoothness. If you draw arc, how smooth do you want it? Just remember that this does consume more resources the finer you have this. And then quick view cube settings. So at the bottom right, you'll see this little cube. So the settings for that, orientation you want it, the color that you want the cube to be, and then obviously the opacity of it. For me, blue 50%, bottom right, that's all perfect. And what's nice about this little cube, so if I go out of the settings, I can click on it, it will actually go to the different views. You can rotate it or on the home position. So it's just an easy way of getting to this front view, side view, top view. There is keyboard shortcuts as well. So for the keyboard shortcuts, it's Control F for front, Control T for top, Control B for bottom, Control K for the back, and Control I for isometric. And then Control H will go to the last plane that you are working on. So let's, for instance, say you are working on a drawing on a plane, you're busy drawing lines, whatever the case may be, and you accidentally tilt it while you're keeping in your middle mouse button. So instead of doing Control T for top, let's do Control H, and it goes to the actual drawing view that you are working on currently on that plane. You can go back to the settings. Okay, so that is the quick cube settings, and then not much of interest on the view tab. Color tab, that's all just user preference. If you don't don't like the colors and want to change it, be my guest. Next, on the interpart link, very nice feature if you are working in assemblies and you want to have a part in the background and create a mating part for it. Very nice tool. I'll keep it all on as is, and the only other option that's really relevant is the units, but not really necessary because you've chosen a drawing standard that you prefer to work in. But if you want to define it even more, even though you're working in the metric system, but I prefer to work in centimeters or meters, doesn't matter. You can change it and customize it as you want. Okay, that's pretty much the settings. Thank you very much, and be on the lookout for the next one.